What could be a game-changing moment for lakhs of vehicle owners in Delhi-NCR. The Supreme Court is set to hear a crucial plea on 28th of July, a plea that challenges the blanket end-of-life ban on vehicles, including even cleaner BS6 compliant vehicles. The case to be heard by Supreme Court bench will hear whether it's justified to treat modern low-emission vehicles same as the older ones, which are more polluting under current rules. The Delhi government has now approached the court, calling the existing 10-year ban on diesel and 15-year ban on petrol vehicles scientifically outdated, especially in light of BS6 norms, which came into effect in 2020 and drastically reduced harmful emissions. Now, these age-based bans trace back to 2015 order by National Green Tribunal, later upheld by the Supreme Court of India in 2018, aimed at reducing pollution by removing old vehicles from roads. But now the situation has changed. BS6 vehicles are far cleaner. They emit about 80% less particulate matter compared to the older BS4 models. So the question is, should modern vehicles be really scrapped just on the basis of how old they are or if they've crossed an age threshold? Now, petitioners argue that this approach is unfair to the public. It's unscientific, particularly for middle-class families who rely on well-maintained second-hand vehicles. They say that it ignores the key factors like maintenance, pollution checks, and actual usage patterns. The Delhi government's plea points that countries like the US, Japan, and those in the EU don't rely on age-based bans. Instead, they favor regular emission testing and real-time monitoring. In fact, Delhi government says that the goal should be data-driven, scientific assessment of each vehicle's actual emission and not just its age. In fact, Delhi currently has nearly 2.8 million BS4 and BS6 vehicles on its roads, many of whom could be wrongly penalized under the current existing directive. Now, this debate gained urgency when Delhi government recently barred fuel supply to those end-of-life vehicles. Public backlash was swift that a directive was suspended and enforcement paused, following operational hurdles and pressure from multiple quarters, including a letter from Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena to the Chief Minister urging a review. But now all eyes are on Supreme Court. Will it uphold the age-based ban or will it open the door to a more nuanced, perhaps a scientific system, one that reflects technological progress made in India's auto industry? The verdict, whenever it comes, could set the tone for air pollution policy, and not just in Delhi but across India. And this isn't just about vehicles, it's also about science. It's about fairness and how we fight pollution together. Joining us on the show is Anand Arya, is an environmentalist. Also with us is Dr. Dipankar Saha, former Additional Director, CPCB. Also with us is Nitin Goyal, tax-paying citizen, and AP Bahadur, former Chief Engineer, Ministry of Road and Transport. Before I get my guests to talk about what this policy would mean and if Supreme Court's order will change how we look at end of life for vehicles, listen into what Delhi Chief Minister had to say.
पिछली सरकारों ने पर्यावरण पे कोई काम नहीं किया और जनता को घुटने दिया, मरने दिया कि भी कोर्ट को, एनजीटी को इस तरह के नियम लेकर के आने पड़े कि जिसमें 15 साल और 10 साल की गाड़ियों के ऊपर प्रोहिबिशन लगा। हम पर्यावरण पे पूरी तरीके से सजग हैं। सरकार लगातार काम कर रही है। बेहतर एटमॉस्फेयर दिल्ली को देने के हर संभव प्रयास हो रहे हैं। इसलिए हम चाहते हैं कि कोर्ट इस पे संज्ञान ले और जनता, दिल्ली की जनता, देश की राजधानी की जनता, जो पूरे देश में हर एक के लिए नियम है, दिल्ली में भी लगभग वैसे ही नियम चलने चाहिए।
That's a massive U-turn by the Delhi government. Just a couple of weeks ago, they wanted the fuel supply to end-of-life vehicles to be stopped at various petrol stations, and now they've approached the Supreme Court on the policy itself. Let me quickly get in Nitin Goyal first into the conversation. Nitin Goyal, who's an average tax-paying citizen, his post went viral. Let's quickly show him. Nitin, you know, you and your post about your two vehicles, I believe Mercedes as well as a Range Rover, which you had to sell before the end of life or their end of life at very cheap nominal price, because you realize that you can't keep complying and you can't ply these vehicles on Delhi roads. How do you now see Delhi government stance?
Good evening, Shweta. the government actually is thinking on the right direction, because it is important to understand that vehicles which are well maintained and are within the permissible pollution limits, so they need to continue to run on these roads. Because how can you discriminate between anyone who has bought a Euro 4 car in 2015 and his car is expiring today because of the age limit, though its pollution is within the norms? And how come you can continue to run a car which has been bought in 2016? So both the cars are emitting the same kind of pollution, but depending on the age, you cannot discriminate and say that you cannot drive this car. So since we switched to Euro 4 technology, the emission of the cars have reduced drastically. But saying that these cars won't run on the age basis, you need to regulate the traffic first, because a journey which should take 15 minutes is taking 30 minutes or 45 minutes on road. So whether it is a Euro 4 car or Euro 6 car, the pollution won't come down. So it is not justified that depending on the age, you reduce the running of the car to 10 years or 15 years.
Now, you're a car owner. Obviously, it's fair enough a complaint. Anand Arya, how do you really and what do you really make of this end of life debate? Now, you're an environmentalist, and in your assessment, should age be a determining factor on whether a vehicle should continue to ply on roads or not?
You see, age is really not a criteria as far as the machineries are concerned. The question is that they have to be properly maintained and meet the standard laid down law, the pollution control measures laid down by the law. Now, you look at it this way. I'll say that, let's say, you have a taxi, which is, or a car, which is used very extensively by, a salesman who travels a hell of a lot between Delhi, Noida, Gurgaon, and does about, let's say, 200 kilometers a day, or a taxi which does 300 to 400 kilometers a day. Now, the annual total particulate matter, or NOx, or CO2, that will be generated by this vehicle will be 10 times the pollution caused by a Bharat 3 or Bharat 4, a diesel engine or a petrol engine for that matter. Or if it is running only 4,000 to 5,000, which is again, I mean, for a middle class people, for especially for the second car which is there in the family, which is used to drop the children to the house, and whatever way you look at it, it is 10 times the pollution which is being caused by a BS6 vehicle compared to BS3. So actually, and these cars, like mine, for example, I will say that I am fortunate enough that I didn't have to scrap any of my cars. But I have a car which is guaranteed to run for 150,000 kilometers. It is 8 years old, and I have done only 30 to 2,000 kilometers. But I have maintained it well. It has been serviced on the due time. And except for a small scratches here and there, it's absolutely perfectly meeting the standard. So I really don't understand why a vehicle which is costing 43 lakhs today, or when I bought it 8 years ago, it was 32, 33 lakhs of rupees. Why should it be scrapped? And look at it. Today, you're not only talking about Delhi, you're talking about 64 lakh vehicles. Now, if these are to be scrapped in the NCR, these will go, as far as the value to the middle class is concerned, is in the region of 64,000 crores if the value for replacement is only one. If it is 2 lakhs, double it. If it is 3 lakhs, triple it. So that kind of a public money, why are we wasting? These are absolutely perfectly running vehicles. I don't see any reason. Absolutely, there is no sense on age-based this thing. As far as this is pollution is concerned, and the value that we will have to pay. So who benefits? It is the people like the automobile industry, and say 20-25% of that money, 65 4 crores, will go to the government of India through the taxes. So they benefit. And we lose. I mean, the public people who have our hard-earned money, I mean, how can they be just losing only because
Fair enough.
somebody
Fair enough.
And
I
there
think, I think if you agree,
no
I
more.
will let you come in, sir. Let's get other panelists also. Dr. Dipankar Sai is also with us. Dr. Dipankar Sai, I think if everybody is unanimously agreeing that age should not be a criteria to do away with the vehicle, because that really doesn't tell you the health of the vehicle. It doesn't tell you whether a vehicle is well maintained or not. Sometimes, a 3-year-old or 4-year-old vehicle which is not maintained properly, in which case pollution checks are not done, could have far worse an impact on environment as opposed to a vehicle which is 8-year-old. So in which case, who does the end of life policy as it is today, which is 10 years for diesel, 15 years for petrol, who does it really benefit? Because it's clearly not benefiting the environment.
Exactly, you are very much correct. You have said the right words and in a right way. Age is not the factor. It is the maintenance of the vehicle, the abrasion, the corrosion of the vehicle also matters. Thus, the inspection of the vehicle is most important for all of us. It is not only the end of tailpipe emission, but also the abrasion, the corrosion, the other frictions, and the emissions, the fugitive emission from the vehicle is also important. So maintenance of the vehicle is most important, should be the most important for all of us. And thus, this is required to be reviewed. And there is nothing wrong in reviewing the thing for the scientific basis. And because everything is scientific based, data based, study based, so it is every time there should be revision. Every time there should be the reaffirmation, whether the direction given by the court or any other organization or the regulator, there should be provision to review. So there is nothing wrong in it, what I found. And the vehicles contribute only 7 to 8% of the pollution in the country, and in particular in Delhi. And if it is required to be executed throughout the state or throughout the country or even the NCR, it will be difficult. It will be a financial burden for the people. And not only that, we should also take care of the vehicles, the operating condition of the vehicle. The performance of the vehicle is also important. So it is the operation of the vehicle, running of the vehicle on the road is one part, but the other part, the condition of the road, the speed of the road, driving cycle of the vehicle, the peak hours of the vehicle, those are also very important for all of us. So this is the right time that we should also, when we have got an opportunity to review, let's review the things scientifically. This is my personal opinion in this effect. Thank you.